Video is all about completing the square. Completing the square is a tool we use for quadratics. What's a quadratic? A quadratic is an expression where three terms, a square term, a single letter term, and a number term, like this, or here, a square term, a single letter term, and a number. Okay? And it's a process which helps us find the turning point of a curve. So remember, a quadratic, if the x squared is positive, it's a U-shaped. And by completing the square, we can find the turning point, which is this point here, where it turns. Or if it's an N shape like this, we can find out this point here. So we call these the vertices, the vertices, or the turning points. All right? So how do we complete the square? Well, it's actually just a set of steps, which we'll cover right now. So let's write it out below. Y equals x squared plus 3x plus 8x plus 3. Step 1 is we start to complete the square. How we do this is we open up a set of brackets. We're going to grab one of these x's. We're going to half the second term. So half of positive 8 is positive 4. We're not going to write this x next to it. What we're going to do is we're going to write a squared on the outside, and we're going to bring that positive 3 down. So that's step 1. Bring one x down, half that middle term, and bring that third term down. Step 2 is the back to 0. Back to 0. We'll write it out again. We're going to square this number here. So 4 squared is 16. Now, how do I get from 16 back to 0? Well, 16 to get to 0 is minus 16. And step 3 is we're just going to simplify. X plus 4 squared. Positive 3 minus 16 is negative 13. And this is how you complete the square. And this will be our final answer. Now to find the turning point. Since the square is positive x squared, it's going to be a U shape. And the turning point is going to be, the y coordinate is going to be the outside term. So negative 13. The x coordinate is going to be the opposite of positive 4. So negative 4. And that's our answer. Here, write x squared minus 6x plus 1 in the form x plus a squared plus b, where a and b are integers. Here, they've not explicitly told us to complete the square, but whenever you're given a quadratic and you're asked to write it in this format, x plus or minus a squared plus or minus b, you must complete the square. So step 1, let's just write it out first. X squared minus 6x plus 1. Open up a bracket. We'll grab one of the x's. Half of negative 6 is negative 3 squared. Bring down that plus 1. Step 2, x minus 3 squared plus 1. Minus 3 squared is positive 9. How do you get from positive 9 back to 0? Well, you minus 9. Step 3, we simplify. Plus 1 minus 9 is negative 8. Hence or otherwise, write down the coordinates of the turning point of this graph. Well, since the squared term is positive, it's going to be a U shape. The y coordinate is negative 8. The x coordinate is the opposite of negative 3, which is positive 3. And that's how you complete the square and find the turning point. So you can do these as practice. Here, write 2x squared minus 12x plus 23 in the form of a brackets x plus b squared plus c, where an a, b, and c integers. Well, here is a quadratic, and here it's in complete the square format. Instead, there's now a number in front of the x plus b squared. So if you see you're given a quadratic and you're asked to write it in this format here, you're also going to be asked to complete the square. Now, whenever there's a number in front of the x squared, there's a few more steps. And the first step and the last step are different. So step 1 is you're going to factorize out the number in front of squared. So this is the first extra step you have to do. You have to factorize out the number in front of the x squared. So let's write down our expression. So I'm going to factorize out this 2. So I'll write 2, open up some brackets. How do I get from 2 back to 2x squared? Well, I times x squared. How do I get from 2 back to minus 12x? Well, 2 times negative 6x is negative 12x. How do I get from 2 to 23? Well, I times by 11.5. And step 2, we're going to complete the square. start to complete the square. So 2, open up a set of brackets, grab one of these x's, half of -6 is -3 squared, and then bring down that 11.5. Step 3, back to 0. I'll just copy it out though. -3 squared is +9. How do I get from 9 back to 0? Well, I write -9. Step 4, we're going to simplify. So 2x minus 3 squared. 11.5 minus 9 is going to be +2.5. And step 5, so step 4 is to simplify. We're going to multiply the front and the back. So what you're going to do is you're going to multiply, determine the front and the back. 2 times 2.5 is 5. So our final answer will be +5. All right, and that's how you find that last term, all right? You have to multiply the 2 and the 2.5. And there, we've completed the square. And it's in this format. A plus x plus b squared plus c. Well, our a is 2. Our b term is -3. Our c term is +5. All right? Hence, or otherwise, write down the turning points of this graph. Well, boom. The y-coordinate is 5. The x-coordinate is the opposite of -3, which is +3. And that's our answer. All right? So whenever there's a number in front of x squared, there's 2 extra steps. One is you have to factorize out that number. So I took out the 2 to make this. And then finally, you have to multiply the front and the back term to give us that final term, which was 5. So you can do this one as practice. Here, by completing the square, solve x squared plus 10x minus 3 equals 0. Give your answer in surd form. Well, step 1, we'll complete the square. So x squared plus 10x minus 3. So boom, I'll grab one of these x's. Half that 10 to make +5 squared minus 3. 5 squared is 25. How do I get from 25 back to 0? Well, I minus 25. So x plus 5 squared plus 3 minus 25. We'll simplify. So x plus 5 squared minus 3 minus 25 is minus 28. Cool, we've completed the square. Now we have to solve. The word solve means to find x. So it's going to be this is equal to 0. And we're just going to work backwards to find x. So let's get rid of that 28 by plussing 28. So x plus 5 squared equals, that disappears. We're left with 28. X plus 5 is being squared. We'll get rid of that squared by square rooting both sides. So x, we don't need the brackets anymore. X plus 5 equals the square root of 28. We'll leave it as a surd. This is called a surd. When you square root a number, you have 2 answers, positive and negative. So it's going to be positive, negative root 28. And then how do you get rid of that +5? We're going to minus 5, minus 5. So x is equal to, the first answer is going to be positive, is going to be root 28 minus 5. And the second answer will be negative root 28 minus 5.